Hello students, welcome to my class of electrostatics. In the last class we discussed some important points about electric fields, electric flux and the essence of Gauss's law. Now today I will discuss the electrostatic Gauss's law in more details and we will see some important points about Gauss's law. Now to start with, let's consider a point charge is situated at the origin and from here electric field lines will come out radially outward, right? So if we want to find out the flux of this electric field which is coming out radially outward, then we can consider a simple picture that we can consider a closed spherical surface around this point charge, and the flux through this closed surface will be closed surface integration E dot dA. Now what is this E dot dA? This E dot dA is the flux through elemental surface area on the spherical surface. Now what is this dA? The value of the dA is r square sine theta d theta d phi. So how it is coming I will discuss after some time. So for the time being you only accept the form that this will be r square sine theta d theta d phi. So you can think it like this. So in Cartesian coordinate, the elemental area on a xy plane we can consider dx and dy. So some small rectangular shape of length dx along x-axis and length along y-axis is dy. So in that case the area of the rectangle will be dx dy, and there is a transformation equation between Cartesian coordinate and spherical polar coordinate, and if we use that transformation equation we can easily go here from that elemental area dx dy to this r square sine theta d theta d phi. Okay, so from the pictorial point of view I will discuss after some time, then it will be clear how it is coming r square sine theta d theta d phi. So for the time being you only accept this will be the form. So now you can see this r square is cancel out and it will q by 4 pi epsilon naught will come out from the integration. Okay, so there are two integrations, one is 0 to pi sine theta d theta and 0 to 2 pi d phi. Now sine theta d theta integration is minus cos theta and the limit will be 0 to pi, and here after integration it will give us 2 pi. So minus cos theta and the limit 0 to pi will give us 2 value. So here 4 pi cancels out and we are left with q by epsilon naught. So you can notice that the radius of the spheres here cancels out, right? So here the surface area goes up as r square and the field goes down as 1 by r square. So the product is constant, which is q by epsilon naught. So now in terms of field line picture, this makes good sense since the same number of field lines passes through any sphere centered at the origin, regardless its size. In fact, it did not have to be a sphere. Okay, so any closed surface, whatever is shape, it would trap the same number of field lines. So evidently the flux through any surface enclosing the charge is q by epsilon naught. So in fact we should tell this q is actually q enclosed, that is the total enclosed charge by the closed surface. Okay, now let's discuss it more elaborately. Now instead of single charge at the origin, suppose we have a bunch of point charges scattered in a finite region, so that these are all scattered charges. Now this is the ith point charge. Okay, and at p point we want to find out the electric field. So there are so many charges, so to the electric field at p point we can find out according to the principle of superposition, and that is the total field at the point p is the vector sum of all the individual fields produced by all the point charges. So we can write the total field like summation I1 to n ei like this. So ei is the electric field due to this qith charge at p point. Okay, so the flux through a surface that encloses them all, then the form of the flux will be like this, right? So we have to, if we consider a flux enclosing this total charge, then we have to integrate over individual electric fields, flux due to individual electric fields. Okay, so from here this will be summation I 1 to n qi by epsilon naught, and summation I1 to n qi is actually the q enclosed, that is the total charge enclosed within the surface, Gaussian surface. Okay, so this form is called integral form of Gauss's law, and this is actually the quantitative statement of Gauss's law. Now there is one theorem in vector calculus that is called the divergence theorem, that actually tells that if we have a vector field and it is, suppose it is flowing, and if we consider a closed surface through that vector field, then the total flux will be the total divergence over the volume which is enclosed by the closed surface. Okay, so total flux through the closed surface is actually the divergence of that vector field over the total volume enclosed by the closed surface. So here we can tell the flux, total flux per unit volume is actually the divergence, that we can tell. Okay, so this is divergence theorem. You will read it elaborately when it will be discussed in vector calculus or mathematical methods class. Okay, now for continuous charge distribution, we can write the q enclosed is volume integration rho d tau. Okay, so rho is volume charge density. So here, from here we can write this volume integration divergence d tau is actually the volume integration rho by epsilon naught d tau, right? From here, from this integral form. Now since this holds for any volume, the integrands must be equal. So here del dot E divergence E is actually rho by epsilon naught. So here this sign is called del. So del dot E actually we call as divergence of electric field, or del dot any vector field, that will be called as divergence of that vector field. So here divergence of electric field is actually the volume charge density by epsilon naught, and this is the differential form of Gauss's law. Okay, now this differential version is very much easy to handle, right? But the integral form, this form is very much advantageous when we want to calculate the electric field due to the point charge or line charge or surface charge. Okay, so this is the thing around about the Gauss's law, how to find out electric field using these two forms. Okay, so to find out the electric field, this form is very useful, and you will see later on that from here we can reach one famous equation that is called the Laplace's equation. And first we will see what is Poisson's equation and what is Laplace equation, and that Laplace equation is very much helpful in electrostatic. What is the importance of Laplace equation, I will discuss. Okay, now let's go back and calculate the divergence of electric field directly. So here we reached here from using this divergence theorem. So suppose you directly we want to see what will be the form of this divergence E. Okay, so for that, suppose this is a charge distribution, and here the volume charge density is rho, and this d tau prime is the elemental volume within this charge distribution. Okay, and the volume of this charge distribution is this V. Now to find out the electric field, what we have to do, we have to integrate this integrate this rho r d tau prime r prime d tau prime, then r cap by r square. So this r prime, tilted r prime, is what? This is the distance of this elemental area from the origin. Okay, so this prime sign actually tells us about the source point. So this is our source point due to which the electric field is generated, right? And we are finding out the electric field at P point. So this prime sign is actually indicating the source point coordinate, and this not prime sign, that is this tilted r, is actually indicating the coordinate of field point. So this is P is called the field point, and prime sign is actually the source point coordinate. Okay, so that you have to remember. Now here, as originally the integration was over the volume occupied by the charge, but we can extend it to all space, right? Since the volume charge density rho is 0 in the exterior region of this charge distribution, so there is no charge, so we can tell rho is 0. So we can extend this integration to all space. Okay, now if we want to find out this divergence of electric field, then we have to operate this del dot. This del dot we will discuss in the vector calculus class. Now I am not going to discuss. Little bit I will show you what will be the what is actually the form of the this del. Okay, and how divergence is operated in any vector field. So if we operate this divergence, this will go inside this integration. Why? Because this divergence actually we are considering with respect to the field point. Okay, this divergence we are considering, this operation del operation we are considering with respect to field point, that is actually x, y and z, not any prime coordinate. But here you can see this charge distribution is in prime coordinate, so we can easily take this del dot inside the integration form. Okay, so this is a mathematical trick that you have to understand. Now here we have to calculate this divergence of r cap by r square, because this is that form. Now so here the charge is at the center and electric field. So this is actually the form of the electric field. If we if we consider this is a constant, then the dependency of that electric field is solely on r, right? So this is like that. So the divergence, actually, what is the meaning of divergence? The divergence represents the volume density of the outward flux of a vector field from an infinitesimal volume around this given point, and here this given point is charge q. So if we consider small volume around this point charge q, then if we find out the flux and if we divide by that volume, then that will give us the divergence. So divergence means how much field lines is coming out per unit volume, that is the measure. Okay, how much field lines is coming out from that volume, that is the measure of divergence. Okay, so here divergence is what? That will be a positive value. Okay, now how to calculate this? So from the figure we can see that at every location, if you consider this point, this and this point, or at the center, so this a vector is directed radially outward. So it seems the function a, that is r cap by r square, has large positive divergence, because it has a finite flux through a closed surface around the given point, and here at the center the charge is placed, so we will have a finite flux due to the electric field. So divergence will also be a finite, that is actually the positive value. Okay, So when there is a positive charge, the electric field lines emerges from that positive charge. So that's why the divergence is positive. Diverging field. We talk about diverging field. And when there is minus charge, the field lines ended there. So in that case, that is converging. So converging means opposite of divergence. That's why opposite of divergence. That's why this will be negative. There the divergence value will be negative. So when there is a negative charge, the divergence will be negative. When there is a positive charge, divergence will be positive. Okay. So let's find out the divergence of r cap by r square, and I will do it in Cartesian coordinate. So the del form is actually I cap del x, j cap del y, k cap del z. So what is this? Basically it will give us the rate of change of any vector field along a particular direction, and so that is I cap del x plus j cap del y plus k cap del z. So this will give us the rate of change. Okay, and if we operate dot product, then it is actually the divergence. And r vector, so here r cap we are writing r vector, so below that will be r cube, and r vector is I x plus jy plus kz, and this will be x square plus y square z square to the power 3 by 2. Now if you do the differentiation, that you can do easily. So here the first term will be 1 by this x square plus y square plus z square to the power 3 by 2, then minus 3 by 2 2x square, because there will be 2x will come out, already there is x. So this will be 2x square, and below x square plus y square plus z square to the power 5 by 2. Similarly, if you do for others, it will be like this. So we are getting the divergence of this r cap by r square is 0. Now if we do it in spherical polar coordinate, the divergence form is actually 1 by r square del r square, and this 1 by r square we have to only consider because this is the unit vector. So this is one procedure that you will see when you will see it more elaborately in vector calculus. Okay, so this is 1 by r square del r, this is 1, right? R square cancels out, so 1 is constant, so we get 0. Now to find out the flux of that a vector, that is of the r cap by r square over a closed surface, we can consider a simple situation where we can integrate that a vector over a spherical surface of radius r, and that is centered at the origin. Okay, so now that I told that what will be the elemental surface area of a spherical surface, that I will discuss. So this is a portion of the sphere. Now this angle is phi and this angle is theta. So here this is that r vector, okay, and r is the radius of the sphere, suppose, or in so here you can see this is a small angle d theta, right? So in that case this will be r d theta. So this is that elemental surface area. We have to find out this perpendicular length and this horizontal length. So this perpendicular length actually r d theta, and what is this? So that is actually here this length, that is this length into d phi, and now this length is actually we can calculate from here, that is r sin theta, right? So this length is r sin theta, because if it is theta it will be, and this is r, so this will be r sin theta. So r sin theta into d phi is this small angle, so that this will give us actually this length r sin theta d phi. Okay, so the elemental area, that will be r d theta into r sin theta d phi. So we are getting that r square sin theta d phi. So, and as you know, the surface area is actually vector quantity, and the direction is normal on that surface area, and here the normal is actually the radial unit direction, that is r cap. So r square sin theta d theta d phi r cap is the elemental surface area. So the surface integration of this a vector over a spherical surface of radius suppose capital R we are considering. In that case, this will be 1 by capital R square. Here also R square cancels out. Then 0 to pi sin theta d theta and 0 to 2 pi d phi. Now why the limit is 0 to pi? Because this theta we are considering from this z axis. So if we rotate it by pi angle, so it will cover the total sphere, right? And if we rotate phi in 2 pi angle, actually it will give us the total shape of the sphere. So if we rotate theta from 0 to pi, and if we rotate phi from 0 to 2 pi, then we can construct a solid sphere. Okay, so you can think and you will understand how if we rotate the theta angle from 0 to pi, and if you rotate phi angle from 0 to 2 pi, it will give us a total solid sphere. Okay, so after integration, here we will get 2, already we have seen, and here we will get 2 pi, so we are getting 4 pi. Now we have seen the divergence of that a vector of this form here. So here this is 0, right? So if we do the volume integral of divergence a d tau of total volume integration, then it will give us 0. So you can see the total closed surface integration is given as the finite volume, but the volume integration is given as the 0 value. So does this mean that the divergence theorem is false? So what's going on here? So this is a paradox, and I am leaving here. In the next class I will start from here and I will solve this problem. I will solve this paradox. And you will see an important concept, and I will introduce a new function, and from that new function actually this problem will be solved. Okay, thank you.